And welcome back to another edition of Inside Career Technical Education. It's so great to be here with you today and talk about the great things that are happening at Porter and Chester Institute. And nobody better to get in on the conversation than the president and CEO, Jim Bologa. Boy, Jim, you've been all over the place lately. I've recently seen that you've been doing some spots on WTNH Channel 8. Really an interest right now in these essential careers and folks maybe that have been downsized or just graduating from high school. I mean, who wants to start college online? I know I don't want my kids to be in that position. So you're getting a lot of interest. So talk a little bit about, I know classes just started, so how are things going so far?
Yeah, well, thanks, Ann, and excited to be here as always. Classes started July 20th, and they're going along, I think, pretty well so far. I mean, students are doing remote learning for their lecture piece, so that we're able to maintain social distancing and good infection control protocols. And then they're coming back on campus in our industry modeled labs to do all their hands-on education and training in the lab environment. And for healthcare folks, we're finally getting them back out into their clinical area so that they're actually getting their direct patient care hours out in the real world. So everything's going pretty well right now. And, I think for students, the transition from everything being completely residential or on ground to moving to more of a blended or hybrid environment is going well. I mean, I think some students need a little bit of remediation, so we're trying to help them, work their way through the digital side of things. But for all the other students, I would say that they're enjoying it. I mean, they've got the flexibility to.
I was just going to say that increased flexibility because you've got adult learners, you've got folks with, children, maybe folks have a job and they're still trying to get educated. So it does give you that increased flexibility. And you're fortunate at Porter and Chester Institute that this wasn't something new to you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we had been using a learning management system for a while when we delivered our on-ground residential program. So when March 17th came, when we took the whole school effectively online, it wasn't really much of a transition for us, other than students weren't sitting in a physical classroom; they were sitting, at home or wherever they might attend, and so for them, that was the one piece that was a little bit different, obviously. But again, we opened the schools back up in June 1st in Connecticut, and June 8th in Massachusetts. And so the students started coming back on to the campus to do their hands-on training with us. And, since then it's been going great. And the students, I would say that the students actually enjoy being back on campus. There's a sense of normalcy returning, and we're again trying to do everything according to the guidelines that have been issued, by the federal and the state and local governments and other oversight bodies.
And trust me, they've been checking. I know I've been to some of your campuses recently, and they are following the guidelines. They're very strict about protocols and things like that, and people do check. So, it's not like nobody's looking. I mean, you really are paying close attention, which is great. One of the things I was recently at your Waterbury campus that I was impressed by is even with so many things being not in person, from your admissions process to your financial aid process to the testing process that is required for some of your programs, I was talking to some of your folks there, and they're still giving folks that hands-on feel and touch and really seeing people through the process. So how were you able to do that?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're using technology to the best of our ability, and I think what we've been able to do is replicate that sort of rich residential feel, if you will, with technology like Zoom and Microsoft Teams and other tools like that, where we're able to have a face-to-face conversation with someone. We're not sitting belly to belly, if you will, across the table or a desk, but we are having that same visual experience, and so I think that from that perspective, we're working really hard. Every area is working really hard in terms of trying to develop sort of a rich digital experience that allows us to continue to help folks get themselves prepared and get the practical hands-on training that they need to go out and become an essential worker.
Right. And we should also mention that in some cases, this is not just an individual's decision. This could be a family decision. This could be grandparents or caregivers that are involved in this decision. So that you've made it a point at Porter and Chester Institute to have webinar Wednesdays at noon. And so different topics for different folks, and really encourage people to hop on, one of those webinars and learn about a particular program that you might be interested in. There's also an opportunity in that format, if you have questions, to have your questions answered. And you've been doing that for a while now, and it's really well received.
Yeah, we're generally getting anywhere between, I would say, every week, between probably 30, 40 people on the light side to, I would say up to maybe 75, maybe 100 on the heavy side. And what we're doing is for about an hour, we go on, we have this webinar, and folks register on our website, porterchester.edu. And then they get sent a link, and then you just click on that link, and at 12 noon on Wednesday, and you're able to listen to a presentation. And we have live people who are going through a presentation of our programs and the school and all the things that we're doing. And then if you do have questions, we allow folks to ask questions via the chat feature of the software, and folks will chat in questions. And every now and again, we'll get some folks who may email us beforehand and say, I'm concerned about this, or I have a question about that, and we'll try to collect those as well and address those in the webinar. So it's actually been really well received, and we're excited to do that, and we're going to continue to do that in other areas as well. So we're doing that right now in the what we call the educational funding area, aka financial aid. So we're holding webinars during the course of a specific term. And again, I would just have folks look at our website, porterchester.edu, for that information, and just click on a button, sign up, and you'll get a link, and you can participate and get your questions answered there.
Right. And there's so many different campuses. There's so many different programs. Cosmetology is fairly new to your Rocky Hill campus. You've got automotive. And like you said, you've really done this blended learning program, because you can't learn, let's say, dental hygiene, or you can't learn practical nursing without getting your hands on. Once you've completed that online coursework, you got to take that and you got to figure out how to do those things. And that's what you're doing. You've got externships that are starting back up again, but this has just been a wild ride and quite a process for just so many folks. But when it comes to education, it seems to me like you haven't skipped a beat.
Yeah, we really haven't. I mean, when you look at, again, you look at the sphere of educational programs that we have. So you talked a little bit about healthcare programs, right? So we have dental assisting, medical assisting, practical nursing, medical billing and coding. And, those programs, for the most part, require, some hands-on, elements. And generally those folks are going to go out on an externship. And again, it's, we're continuing to work with all of our partners, our clinical partners, so that our students can go out and get that hands-on experience. I mean, they are going to, during the course of their education, will be in our industry modeled labs, where they'll come in and they'll actually do that. They'll practice those skills. And then, again, I think you mentioned a few other skilled trade programs. I mean, again, plumbing, electrical, HVAC, electronics, automotive. I mean, all those programs have
CAD.
Yeah, CAD, and we have got CAD, and we've got computer network technology as well. I mean, so we've got a mix of these programs that have all moved to remote learning, but we do have in some cases, I would say more of the hard skilled trades. Those folks are coming back to campus right now, and they're they're working on the practical application again. They're doing the remote learning, and then they come and they actually they learned how, like we've talked before, they learn how to bend pipe, they learn how to change whatever system it is on an automobile. They learn how to diagnose HVAC units or heating or cooling units. So they come back on campus, they get that hands-on experience, and we're doing this all in the context of COVID and trying to maintain obviously the social distancing and all the the infection control protocols. So I think the students understand and they get it, and they're working with us. And again, in the remote learning, there's generally a combination of what I'd say live education, where you and I are basically sitting across from each other, no different than if we were sitting in a classroom going through material. It's being done digitally, and then there's some days where you get a little bit of a break and you just get some assignments, and that you go through that work, and that work then sort of builds on itself, and you ultimately end up back in the lab environment. So and I would say that when you look at the trades, I mean, they're still deemed to be essential. So whether you're an automotive technician, whether you're a plumber, whether you're an electrician, HVAC tech, electronic systems tech, I mean, all those programs are deemed to be essential. And again, when you look at most of our educational programs have been deemed by the governors to be essential workers to help keep the economy moving along.
Huge demand right now. I mean, even before this, but I've just seen it. Also attended, when you could have them, your career fairs, and the diversity from electric boat to the casinos to all the hospitals and nursing homes, assisted living places, automotive dealers. There's so many folks out there that are just so eager to get your graduates in the house and get them working. So hopefully we've piqued your interest in some of the programs at Porter and Chester Institute. We invite you to go to porterchester.edu, and next classes start up
Monday, October 19th.
So it's not that far away. So time to do your homework, sign up for one of those webinar Wednesdays at noon, and check it out. It can't hurt, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, Jim Bologa, President and CEO, Porter and Chester Institute, thank you for another engaging conversation. And thanks to all of you for listening to this edition of Inside Career Technical Education.